They said it could never happen. They claimed that America would never approve an African-made, self-powered vehicle, a car that moves without charging, without fuel, and without ever plugging into a power grid. Yet today, that very car has been sold on American soil, and the entire automobile world is stunned. This isn't just another electric vehicle, it's something that defies the basic rules of energy itself. It runs on invisible radio waves floating through the air, and the man behind this revolutionary machine is none other than Maxwell Chikumbutso, the brilliant engineer from Zimbabwe. They tried to keep the first sale in the US a secret. The news began quietly. A dealership in California announced that it had officially handed over the first self-powered electric car to an American buyer. At first, critics and skeptics mocked it. That's impossible, they said. No car can run forever without recharging its battery. But once videos started appearing online, showing the vehicle running for days without being plugged in, the laughter stopped instantly. People gathered outside the dealership just to witness it with their own eyes. It was being called the car that breaks the system. So, how does it actually work? This electric car doesn't depend on power stations, solar panels, or normal charging ports. It uses an advanced energy harvesting system that draws power directly from radio waves and natural frequencies present in the atmosphere. It may sound like something out of science fiction, but the idea is built on scientific concepts that have existed for over 100 years, ideas even Nikola Tesla once imagined. Now, Maxwell Chikumbutso has finally made that dream real. The car runs quietly, endlessly, and completely free of cost. The reaction across America was explosive. The entire US auto industry went into confusion. Tesla, Ford, and General Motors suddenly had to face questions no one had asked before. How can you compete with a car that doesn't need charging? How can you sell energy when someone has built a machine that creates its own? Government officials were equally alarmed. Energy companies warned that if such cars spread across the nation, the trillion-dollar oil and electricity industries could collapse overnight. Yet ordinary Americans were asking something else entirely. When can I buy one? The man who purchased the very first self-powered EV in the United States eventually agreed to speak on camera. He described how his car had been running for 2 weeks straight, never plugged in, never refueled, never slowing down. Looking straight into the camera, he said, "This changes everything. I don't just have a car, I have freedom." That single line shook the internet. The video went viral in hours. What followed was a storm. The internet exploded with debate. Some people called it the Freedom Car, while others dismissed it as a fake. But then more clips appeared. Families in California, engineers in Texas, even students in New York, all showing the car driving endlessly without a single recharge. Major media outlets that had once ignored Maxwell Chikumbutso now gave him primetime coverage. Headlines screamed, "Africa changes the game, America stunned." Tech companies were quick to respond. Tesla made the first move when Elon Musk tweeted mysteriously, "Energy is everywhere. The challenge is capturing it safely." Many analysts took this as Musk's subtle acknowledgement that the self-powered EV was real, and possibly the biggest threat to Tesla's empire. Ford immediately called for an emergency innovation meeting. GM's stock dropped 9% overnight. Oil lobbyists rushed to pressure Congress. warning that if cars like this reached mass production, gasoline demand would collapse. But the public no longer asked if, they asked when. For the first time in modern memory, a world changing invention hadn't come from Silicon Valley, Tokyo, or Berlin. It came from Africa, from Zimbabwe. The same country the world once overlooked was now at the center of a global revolution. Young African inventors celebrated Chikumbutso as a continental hero, comparing him to Tesla and Edison. Leaders across Africa began urging protection for the technology, worried that powerful nations might try to buy, steal, or bury it. Meanwhile, pressure in Washington was building fast. Behind closed doors, U.S. lawmakers faced a difficult decision. If they supported this innovation, it could move America decades ahead in clean energy progress. But doing so might destroy industries like oil, gas, and electricity, industries that keep the economy running. A leaked government memo showed that officials were even considering ways to restrict or regulate imports of self-powered vehicles. Yet every attempt to slow it down only made people want it more. Online waiting lists formed, with buyers offering 2 or even 3 times the listed price just to get one early. While America argued, other nations took action. Norway, already leading in electric vehicle use, gave instant approval for the new self-powered car. India announced plans to work directly with African engineers to license and mass produce the technology. China offered Maxwell Chikumbutso a multi-billion-dollar deal to build factories on its soil. For the first time ever, the world's biggest powers weren't selling technology to Africa, they were buying it from Africa. Then came the whispers of sabotage. As demand for the self-powered EV skyrocketed, strange incidents began to occur. Several prototype vehicles in Los Angeles mysteriously caught fire. A shipment heading for Europe disappeared at sea. In Zimbabwe, Maxwell's own research center suffered an unexplained power blackout that halted critical experiments. Rumors spread that powerful corporations, oil barons, and even government agencies, anyone with trillions to lose, were trying to destroy the invention. Yet despite every setback, the cars kept showing up on YouTube, TikTok, and live streams that demonstrated the impossible. In America, an underground movement began to form. Groups of engineers, mechanics, and even former Tesla workers quietly imported fleets of the self-powered cars. Late at night, they tested them on Nevada highways. The vehicles ran for hundreds of miles beneath the stars, powered only by the energy floating invisibly through the air. There were even rumors that one of these cars made it all the way from New York to California without stopping once to recharge. If true, it proved beyond doubt that the technology worked and could not be stopped. Wall Street was thrown into panic. Oil stocks collapsed. Power companies scrambled to calm investors. Meanwhile, African startups linked to Chikumbutso's technology saw their market value explode overnight. Economists compared the moment to the birth of the internet. Some predicted the end of the battery industry, while others warned of a total reshaping of global power. Politically and literally, behind the scenes, a tense standoff grew among world leaders. The US, China, and the European Union all entered heated negotiations. America wanted to limit exports of the self-powered vehicles. China wanted to manufacture them by the millions, and Africa, for once, held the upper hand. During a rare public appearance, Maxwell made a powerful statement. This technology belongs to humanity, but if humanity tries to silence it, Africa will protect it. Those words sent shockwaves around the globe. In cities from Johannesburg to Chicago, people took to the streets chanting for access to the Freedom Car. But soon after his declaration, strange events unfolded. In San Francisco, two men pretending to be journalists tried to break into a garage rumored to contain one of the imported self-powered EVs. In Houston, an engineer who had been live streaming his tests suddenly vanished, his entire channel erased as if it never existed. Whispers grew that certain agencies were moving to contain the technology, not celebrate it. Still, ordinary people refused to back down. In New York, a secret network of mechanics and activists created hidden workshops they called freedom garages. There, the cars were tested, repaired, and even replicated. Some brave tinkerers converted old gasoline cars into self-powered machines using parts smuggled from Africa. It was risky and illegal, but it worked. For the first time, people realized they didn't need gas, they didn't need the grid, and they didn't need permission. They had power no corporation could sell them. The oil giants struck back. Lobbyists flooded Congress, demanding strict laws against unregulated energy technology. Major news outlets started releasing fear-based stories, warning that the cars could interfere with brain waves or emit dangerous frequencies. One headline even claimed, "The car that could cook your brain with invisible energy." It was pure propaganda, but it caused public panic. Even then, the underground network kept expanding. The cars kept running. No plugs, no fuel, just the endless hum of invisible power. Then came the moment that changed everything. A group of activists in Chicago organized a public demonstration. In broad daylight, they parked a self-powered EV in the middle of a busy street, opened the hood, and invited everyone to inspect it. Scientists, engineers, police, and even skeptics stepped forward. They checked every part, and when the car started up and ran continuously for 12 hours without stopping, the crowd erupted in disbelief and joy. The live stream reached over 50 million views in a single night. No one could deny it anymore. Africa's invention was real. That Chicago event triggered a global movement. Across Europe, Asia, and Latin America, people demanded access to the self-powered car. In Germany, students carried banners saying, "Energy belongs to everyone." In Brazil, local mechanics converted buses using Maxwell's method and ran full city routes without a drop of fuel. Governments couldn't hide the truth any longer. People were driving proof of it in plain sight. Finally, the United Nations called for an emergency global summit. Maxwell Chikumbutso was invited to present his car before world leaders. Inside the UN hall, he powered it on. The vehicle moved quietly across the stage. No wires, no sound, no pollution, just motion drawn from the invisible energy around us. The world's delegates watched in stunned silence. They knew history had just changed. Faced with undeniable proof, world powers agreed. This technology could not be suppressed or owned by any single nation. A historic deal was signed to make self-powered EV technology open source, ensuring that no company or government could ever monopolize it again. Within 5 short years, gas stations began to vanish. Cities that were once filled with smog breathed clean air again. Families traveled freely without worrying about rising fuel costs. Maxwell's dream had finally come true, not only for Africa or America, but for the entire planet. The car that ran on invisible radio energy became a symbol of hope, independence, and human creativity. And as Maxwell once said, words now written forever in history. They said it was impossible until it became inevitable.